Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're embarking on a really crucial journey right into the heart of medical progress. Clinical trials, they're the bedrock, aren't they? How we discover new treatments. But they're notoriously complex, incredibly costly, and often they exclude a huge number of patients who could ultimately benefit from these drugs. So our mission today is to unpack a fascinating collaborative vision. We're diving into a manifesto from leaders across pharma, consulting, clinical research, and importantly, AI. It outlines how artificial intelligence, specifically two powerful technologies, causal inference and digital twins, could utterly revolutionize clinical trials. Think of this deep dive as maybe your shortcut to understanding how we can make drug development faster, safer, and much more personalized for patients everywhere. Get ready for some genuinely eye-opening insights.
Indeed. And this deep dive, it really aims to reveal not just how these AI methods can streamline what we already do, but how they're set to unlock entirely new possibilities for patient care and hopefully accelerate the delivery of those life-changing treatments.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Let's start with the current landscape.
Huh?
Clinical trials are, they're absolutely essential, no question.
No.
But they come with some significant hurdles. Our source material highlights that just one phase 3 trial can easily go over $500 million in the last several years.
That's right. Huge investments.
And here's a statistic that, honestly, it surprised me. Typically, over 75% of patients are actually excluded from testing.
Mm-hmm.
Even though those same treatments often get used far more widely once they're approved, That's a massive gap, isn't it, between who tests a drug and who ends up using it?
It is. And what's truly astonishing, despite all the scientific rigor, traditional trials constantly grapple with issues like, patient recruitment, getting people to stick to the protocols, retention. These challenges, they inevitably lead to significant delays and those astronomical costs you mentioned. AI offers a powerful pathway here, a way to tackle these inefficiencies head-on. By enhancing decision-making really throughout the whole process, we can not only bring safe and effective medicines to market faster, but crucially, also identify and, terminate unsafe or ineffective treatments much earlier.
Oh.
And that saves precious resources and, more importantly, prevents potential harm to patients.
So it sounds like the goal isn't just making trials quicker, but smarter, more precise, and definitely more inclusive. When you look at the big picture, what are the most ambitious goals we can realistically set for bringing AI into this really complex process?
Well, the manifesto identifies several key ambitions. Fundamentally, it's about making trials more predictive, more efficient, and much more broadly applicable.
Okay, let's talk about the first one they mentioned, accelerating answers. How does AI help us get those critical insights faster, especially when, every moment counts for patients waiting for new therapies?
Right. AI can dramatically accelerate the generation of clinical insights and significantly improve their precision. Take causal inference, for example. It can pinpoint specific treatment responders with really high accuracy. That allows trials to focus on those subpopulations most likely to benefit.
Okay, so targeting much better.
Exactly. And then digital twins, they model individual patient trajectories, in a virtual space, predicting safety and efficacy in real time. This supports more efficient, adaptive trial designs. Imagine in, say, oncology trials. Causal models could identify unique biomarkers for early responders to a new immunotherapy, while digital twins could then simulate personalized treatment paths, maybe optimizing the dose for one individual and reducing toxicity. So it's not just speed, it's about getting the right life-saving therapies to the right patients, and with greater urgency.
That sounds incredibly targeted. Makes sense. But beyond just speed, how does AI actually increase the overall likelihood of a trial succeeding in the long run, given how many promising compounds historically fail in those late-stage trials?
Yeah, that's a critical point. Improving the probability of success, or POS, is arguably the single most effective way to improve pharmaceutical R&D efficiency. Causal inference, again, it helps us differentiate between a true treatment benefit and just, random bias or chance.
Right.
That leads to much better early decision-making. By identifying the patient populations most likely to respond and the optimal treatment regimens for them, AI significantly boosts the POS in late-stage development. This drastically cuts down the number of failed trials, saves billions, and allows for more refined phase 3 designs. It's about betting on winners, but with much higher confidence.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense financially and scientifically. Now, current trials often focus really narrowly, right?
Yeah.
On predefined endpoints. It feels like looking through a keyhole sometimes. What entirely new questions can AI help us explore that we might be completely missing with traditional methods?
That's a great question. AI, particularly because it can integrate these vast amounts of real-world data, unlocks the potential for in silico trials, in computer trials.
Control trial.
Exactly. To address previously intractable questions, we can potentially uncover novel insights about disease mechanisms, complex treatment interactions, or how diverse populations respond. Things conventional methods might just overlook entirely. For example, a digital twin could simulate the impact of an anti-diabetic drug, not just on blood sugar, but on patients who also have concurrent cardiovascular disease,
Oh, okay, the bigger picture.
identifying subtle risks or maybe even beneficial synergies. Causal inference can explore how treatments interact with lifestyle factors like diet or exercise, providing a much more holistic understanding of patient care. And this deeper understanding can then translate into better drug labeling and empower patients to make more informed decisions once a drug is actually on the market.
So it's kind of a dual purpose then, confirming what we think works, but also discovering completely new possibilities we hadn't even considered. How does AI strike that balance between, say, proving and discovering?
Exactly right. Causal inference allows trials to rigorously estimate drug efficacy across different demographic groups. That's critical for ensuring treatments work equitably, for everyone.
Mm.
Equity is key.
Digital twins, on the other hand, they can create synthetic control arms. This dramatically reduces the patient burden in trials.
Meaning fewer patients needed for the placebo group.
Precisely. And it allows us to ask more questions simultaneously within the same trial structure. This whole concept of integrated evidence, it supports not just regulatory approval, but also addresses the nuanced needs of other stakeholders like payers, physicians, caregivers. And here's where it gets really interesting. The source material even suggests that digital twins, by simulating entire clinical trials, could potentially make the replication of pivotal trials obsolete. Wow. Okay, hold on. That's a massive claim, making pivotal trial replication obsolete. That sounds incredibly efficient, sure, but what are the biggest regulatory hurdles or data challenges that would need to be overcome for that to even be a distant possibility? That would be a huge paradigm shift.
It absolutely would. A massive shift. The regulatory landscape today is fundamentally built on the foundation of physical trial replication. For in silico trials to take on that role, we'd need unprecedented levels of data standardization, transparency in how the AI models are developed and work, and robust, universally accepted validation frameworks. Regulators would need, ironclad assurance that these virtual trials are just as reliable, if not more so, than traditional ones, especially regarding safety signals.
Yeah, safety first, always.
And the data itself. It would need to be meticulously curated, diverse, and as free as possible from biases that could skew the results. It's a huge shift in mindset, not just technology.
Fascinating. Okay, let's zoom in then on one of these powerful tools, digital twins. What exactly are they in the context of clinical trials? It almost sounds like something out of science fiction.
Yeah, it does have that feel sometimes. But in essence, digital twins are sophisticated computational models. They simulate the biological and therapeutic responses of individual patients or even entire populations. Think of them as living, breathing data representations. They enable real-time predictions and personalized treatment decision-making, bringing us much closer to true precision medicine.
So these aren't just static models or spreadsheets then. Our source mentions AI-enabled digital twins. How are they different from earlier, maybe simpler versions we might have seen?
Right, good question. Traditional digital twins were often built using mechanistic models based on established physiological knowledge. And while those are valuable, they rely on predefined equations. They can struggle with the immense variability we see in the real world, between patients.
Yeah, everyone's different.
Exactly. AI-driven methods using advanced machine learning like neural networks, they revolutionize this. They create data-driven adaptive twins that are constantly learning and evolving in real time. These AI-based twins integrate incredibly diverse data sets, EHRs, genomics, wearable device data, maybe even social determinants of health.
Wow.
To construct highly personalized patient representations, they excel at capturing complex, nonlinear relationships, even rare patterns, and they can simulate a vast array of what-if scenarios, like testing different dosages or combinations of treatments for an individual patient virtually.
That's truly incredible. The Manifesto highlighted 3 key use cases for these digital twins from their summit. Let's explore those. First, enhancing trial diversity and safety. Safety is obviously paramount, especially in those early phasey trials where protocols aren't fully established and patients are often the most vulnerable. How do digital twins make trials safer and more inclusive?
Yeah, digital twins can really revolutionize safety monitoring. They allow researchers to simulate how patients might react to various dosages, identifying potential risk factors for serious adverse effects before a drug is even given to a person.
So like a virtual safety net.
In a way, yes. For instance, in cardiovascular medicine, integrated electrophysiological and anatomical data in a twin could predict, say, fatal heart rhythm changes after a heart attack. If a twin predicts an undesirable trend for a real patient in the trial, preemptive actions like adjusting the dose can be taken.
Ah, proactive adjustments.
Exactly, which significantly reduces dropouts due to adverse reactions. And this also enables greater diversity in trials, because appropriate adjustments can ensure the safety of participants who might otherwise be excluded by overly rigid criteria.
That makes sense. Broadening the pool safely.
And what's even more fascinating, if a participant does withdraw from a trial for whatever reason, their digital twin can continue to simulate their state. This preserves valuable data and mitigates losses to statistical power, which is a huge gain for the trial's integrity.
That's a really clever way to retain data virtually. Okay, second use case. Increasing efficiency and diversity with digital twin-based control arms. Control groups, the placebo arm, they're a huge cost driver, right? And they can make patients reluctant to participate if they don't see a direct benefit. Can digital twins help here?
Absolutely. This is a big one. Digital twins can create virtual control arms.
Virtual controls.
Yes. This allows a minimum number of real patients in the control group to be supplemented by highly realistic virtual controls. This maximizes the proportion of real patients assigned to the novel treatment arms, which dramatically improves recruitment and reduces that financial burden.
Right, fewer people getting a placebo.
Our source mentions they can even recreate clinical trial results just from observational data alone, which is pretty groundbreaking. And this increased efficiency also allows trials to incorporate multiple comparator arms simultaneously, enhancing the relevance and generalizability of results across different regions or, evolving standards of care. This is really a game changer for trial design itself.
So getting more answers with fewer actual patients needed in control groups and less cost. Makes sense. Finally, what does this all mean for care after a drug is approved? How does it help personalize treatment plans in sort of the real-world clinical deployment?
Yeah, in the post-marketing phase, digital twins really shine. They allow clinicians to simulate patient responses to a whole array of potential treatments. This helps doctors correctly place novel treatments among existing interventions and establish precise, personalized treatment protocols like the optimal dosages and timings for individual patients.
Tailoring it right down to the person.
Exactly. For complex cases like timing chemo and radiotherapy for certain head and neck cancers, simulations with digital twins provide incredibly powerful principled decision support platforms. And because they're continuously updated as new data comes in, these twins become increasingly accurate over time, ensuring treatment protocols evolve with the latest evidence for each unique patient.
That was a fantastic look at digital twins. Really powerful stuff. Now, let's turn our attention to the other key AI technology mentioned, causal inference. What exactly is it, and why is it transforming clinical trials into what the Manifesto calls engines of insight? It sounds quite academic.
It can sound that way, but the core idea is powerful. Causal inference methods, especially when powered by machine learning, they revolutionize trials by generating truly actionable and reliable insights. They move us beyond simply observing correlations. A happens when B happens to accurately identifying true cause and effect treatment relationships.
The why.
Precisely. While meticulously accounting for confounding variables and selection biases that can often muddy the waters in traditional analysis, this significantly enhances the validity of trial outcomes. And crucially, these methods can leverage massive datasets, EHRs, biobanks, even data from failed or negative trials.
Failed trials.
Yes, extracting valuable information that would otherwise just be lost. This dramatically broadens the evidence base beyond just the traditional randomized controlled trials, improving generalizability to diverse real-world populations.
So it helps us understand not just what happened, but why it happened, and learn even from failures. Okay, how does causal inference help us pinpoint the specific biomarkers that truly predict a patient's response?
Well, traditionally, biomarker decisions often rely on expert hypotheses, maybe educated guesses, which can easily miss subtle but important variables. ML-empowered causal inference zeroes in on something called heterogeneous treatment effect, or HTE estimation.
HTE, okay.
To put it simply, HTE is about understanding that not everyone responds to a treatment in the same way. Causal inference quantifies precisely how specific biomarkers influence treatment outcomes. It moves us beyond a simplistic, one-size-fits-all view. By screening thousands of candidate variables from these large data sets, techniques like causal forests can uncover complex nonlinearities, even gene environment or biomarker-drug interactions that simpler methods completely miss.
So finding hidden connections.
Exactly. For instance, applying this to existing EHR data for metastatic melanoma might reveal an underappreciated inflammatory biomarker that actually modulates the effect of immunotherapy, leading to much more targeted interventions and more efficient enrollment in subsequent trials.
That sounds like a powerful way to refine who gets what treatment. Okay, so once we know the right biomarkers, how do we identify which specific patient subgroups will benefit most?
Right, that's the next step. Traditional RCT analyses often just give you a single average treatment effect, the ATE. Basically what happens to the average patient.
Average, yeah. Which might not apply to everyone.
Exactly. In contrast, conditional average treatment effect, or KT estimation, which is facilitated by ML, characterizes a continuous spectrum of treatment responses across varying patient characteristics. This shifts us from that single-point summary to a rich treatment response surface, pinpointing groups with particularly favorable or maybe unfavorable responses.
Like a map of responsiveness.
A good analogy. It can even combine RCT data with well-curated observational data, like EHRs, to refine these subgroup definitions. Imagine identifying not just an optimal biomarker group for an antihypertensive drug, but nuanced patient profiles, say, those with both high blood pressure and mild chronic kidney disease who show especially pronounced improvements. This leads to truly personalized and much more effective interventions, moving beyond broad categories.
Okay, this is a huge challenge in medicine generally. Ensuring trial findings, often from these tightly controlled environments, actually apply to the diverse, real-world patient population. How does causal inference help bridge that gap?
Yeah, that translation gap is critical. Real-world populations almost always differ from trial cohorts. Demographics, clinical practices, comorbidities, you name it. ML-based causal inference methods enable the transport of trial-based estimates to these new, more diverse settings.
Transport, like moving the results.
Sort of. They leverage large observational data sets and apply sophisticated transportability analyses to essentially mathematically adjust or align the trial findings with broader patient groups. For instance, a novel heart failure therapy tested in younger, low-risk patients can be analyzed with these ML-driven causal transport methods using EHR data from older multimorbid patients. This reveals how effectiveness and safety might shift under different real-world care settings, guiding more informed decisions for clinicians and regulators, and ultimately fostering safer, more equitable healthcare delivery at scale.
Okay, that's really powerful for making sure drugs work for everyone who needs them. Now, can AI also help us discover completely new scientific insights? Mechanisms, maybe, from the data we already have, almost like finding hidden messages.
Yes, absolutely. AI-driven discovery methods, tightly integrated with causal inference, can unlock the latent potential within clinical trial data. Techniques like symbolic regression, which essentially discovers mathematical equations directly from data, and differential equation discovery, they overcome limitations of traditional physiological models that often miss that crucial patient-level variability.
So finding the underlying rules from the data itself.
Pretty much. For example, in a trial for an anti-inflammatory drug, symbolic regression might uncover a complex interaction between BMI, specific genetic markers, and drug metabolism, identifying previously unknown biomarkers. Differential equation discovery could then simulate how these biomarkers evolve over time. A significant breakthrough here is something called personalized ordinary differential equations, or ODEs.
Personalized ODEs.
Yeah, they accommodate variability across patient populations, drastically improving accuracy and enabling tailored treatments, like optimizing an individual's blood pressure response to an antihypertensive drug over time based on their unique biological dynamics.
This all sounds incredibly powerful, truly transformative for medicine. But, with great power comes great responsibility. How do we make sure these AI methods are robust, trustworthy, and actually meet rigorous regulatory standards? That seems like a huge hurdle.
It is, and rigorous validation is absolutely necessary. You're right. Currently, there's a bit of a lack of standardized approaches, which can lead to confusion. So the Manifesto proposes a comprehensive framework outlining 9 critical components for how we should validate these AI models. We should probably walk through those.
Yeah, definitely. Let's break that down. What's step 1?
Okay, first, we absolutely must define the context of use. Clearly specify the AI model's exact task and its intended application within the clinical trial. No ambiguity.
Makes sense. Know exactly what it's supposed to do.
Second, establish data integrity and relevance. Assess the data quality, its representativeness, its suitability, making sure it accurately reflects the target populations and the problem.
Garbage in, garbage out, basically.
Exactly. Third, conduct multifaceted model assessment. This means looking beyond just simple predictive accuracy. We need to evaluate calibration. Do the probabilities the model gives actually match reality?
Yeah.
And robustness. How reliable is its performance under varying conditions, like maybe with missing data or slightly different patient groups?
Okay, so it's not just, is it right, but can we consistently trust its predictions even when things aren't perfect? That makes immense sense. What comes next in building that critical trust?
Precisely. The fourth component is absolutely key. Validate clinical interpretability. Clinicians need to understand why the AI made a certain prediction, not just what it predicted.
The black box problem.
Exactly. Transparent digital twin simulations or explainable reasoning for causal relationships are vital here. It fosters confidence. Fifth, we have to benchmark against traditional methods, prove the added value. Compare the AI models with existing clinical approaches and demonstrate they either outperform them or significantly complement them in a meaningful way.
Show it's actually better or add something unique.
And sixth, we must integrate validation in real-world settings. Test these models in live or retrospective trial scenarios to assess their ability in their exact intended environment, not just in a lab.
That seems crucial, moving from theory to practice, proving the real-world impact. Okay, so ensuring doctors can trust it, proving it's better, and then seeing it work in the wild. What about the bigger picture stuff? Governance and making sure it keeps getting better.
Those are the foundations. Next, seventh, we address ethical and regulatory considerations. Critically examine issues like patient privacy, potential model bias, is it fair to all groups, and ensuring transparent documentation for regulatory review and approval.
The ethical guardrails, very important.
Absolutely. Eighth, we need to establish a feedback loop. AI models aren't static, they shouldn't be. Validation insights should iteratively improve their accuracy and relevance with continuous updates based on new data.
So they learn and adapt.
Right. And finally, ninth, we must report validation results transparently. Document and share the validation processes and outcomes openly to build trust among all stakeholders, regulators, doctors, patients, everyone.
Okay, that's a really thorough blueprint for earning trust in AI within this critical space. Beyond this robust validation, what else is needed to make this incredible vision a reality? What are the practical enablers, the things that need to be put in place on the ground?
Yeah, validation is necessary but not sufficient. Successful integration really depends on embedding these technologies within the existing clinical trial ecosystem without disrupting essential workflows too much. A critical enabler here is creating standardized and shareable data frameworks. This is huge. It means harmonizing data from all these diverse sources, EHRs, post-marketing studies, trials themselves with agreed-upon formats, metadata schemas, all while, of course, maintaining patient privacy and meeting complex regulatory requirements. Collaboration between pharma, healthcare providers, and regulators is absolutely essential here. It can't happen in silos.
Data standards, okay.
Right.
What else?
Also, close collaboration with statistical and trial methodologists is crucial. These experts are vital for aligning the new AI technologies with established, trusted statistical frameworks. Statisticians, for example, can help define the criteria for evaluating those digital twin augmented control arms we talked about, ensuring they produce valid, reliable results.
Bridging the old and the new.
Exactly. They're instrumental in integrating AI-driven causal methods with traditional causal estimation techniques and harmonizing AI approaches with regulatory requirements for evidence generation.
Makes sense. Need the stats experts on board.
And finally, something that's often overlooked but is paramount: interdisciplinary education and training. This isn't a one-way street. Statisticians, data scientists, clinicians, regulators, they all need to develop a foundational understanding of AI methods. What they can do, what their limitations are.
And the AI people need to understand trials.
Precisely. Conversely, AI researchers need a deep appreciation for the statistical frameworks, the unique needs, the ethical considerations, and the stringent regulatory requirements of clinical trials. Collaborative training programs are absolutely key to bridging these knowledge gaps across the entire ecosystem.
This deep dive has truly shown us how AI, through tools like causal inference and digital twins, is really poised to fundamentally reshape clinical trials. It's quite profound. We're talking about a future where drug discovery could be faster, safer, much more personalized, and far more inclusive than ever before.
It's a grand vision, absolutely, but it requires a very structured, collaborative approach from that robust validation and standardized data frameworks we discussed to deep collaboration across disciplines and that vital interdisciplinary education. The stakes are incredibly high, naturally, but the potential rewards, a new era of truly patient-centered care, are, I think, even greater.
It really does feel like a call to action for everyone involved in healthcare and technology. To redefine clinical trials, we have to embrace AI as a catalyst for change. And as we move forward, we always need to remember that our actions today will shape the patient care of tomorrow, making it more personalized, more inclusive, and ultimately more successful. What stands out to you as the single biggest opportunity for transformation if we really get this right? For me, it's that idea of potentially making replication obsolete and just opening up access to trials for so many more patients who are currently excluded. That feels revolutionary.
I agree that potential for broader access and efficiency is huge, and perhaps underpinning that, the ability to ask and answer questions we simply couldn't before, getting a much deeper, more holistic understanding of disease and treatment for each individual, that's transformative.
Well, we hope this deep dive gave you some real aha moments and maybe a clearer understanding of how AI is starting to revolutionize medicine, particularly in the crucial area of clinical trials. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to the next deep dive.